Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope we've had a great weekend here for the last few days. Maybe detoxing from the charts, maybe not. I mean, after all, we kind of had a bit of an active market over the weekend. Usually a sign of volume and participation. These things are never bad. But yeah, welcome back, guys. Our first show of the week. And one of our final shows of July, man. I'm not going to make a comment about how quickly time is going by, but I'm sure you guys are thinking it too. Welcome to Market Check. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Louis, and of course, Chef Jackus. I just realized we actually don't get Louis Tuesday on Market Check anymore, do we? No. That's enough yap. Let me talk about
the Tuesday video though.
So yeah, he does make the Tuesday video. That's absolutely right. And obviously the Discord subscribers get Louis Tuesday in full as well. But yeah, we are seeing a bit of a sell-off today. I think you do have to kind of frame that with the right expectations. Well, you know, we pumped yesterday. We kind of pumped over the weekend. Shouldn't be a total surprise, I think, especially on altcoins, given some of the open interest that we saw come in, that we're seeing, you know, basically those stops get taken. Are we going to see higher prices this week? Are we going to begin consolidating now? These are questions that we are going to answer on today's show. But before we can do that, guys, before I can get too deep into the market commentary, I'm going to ask very nicely if you guys can hit the like button for us. As always, we're very appreciative when you do so. You help us continue to bring you this content. Not every day necessarily. Well, actually, basically every day. I take that back because we are producing even more video content for you all. I hope you're enjoying that, by the way. I've definitely enjoyed creating, and I know I've enjoyed watching my teammates cook as well. But let's talk about the market now. Bitcoin, obviously, I mean, a lot has kind of happened since Friday night or like Thursday night, I'm thinking. You know, Novogratz basically sold $8 billion worth of Bitcoin since the local highs. That kind of culminated in a capitulation, local capitulation. That's not a real capitulation event, but a local capitulation into 115K. Bears got super loud. Oh no, we're going to retrace the entire impulse up. We're going to BART. And then we saw a bunch of strength come in New York session. The tailwinds from equity markets continue for crypto. And now Bitcoin's sitting at 118K, pulling back a little bit from where the weekend, you know, the weekend highs were put in. I kind of think this is a local low, though. I'm open to hearing everybody's opinions, of course, but I do think that we're likely to see Bitcoin and the broader crypto market continue to trade higher throughout this week. We have FOMC on Wednesday. We've also got a White House crypto report, I think, on the same day. So we do have some catalysts that could potentially move the market this week. I think they're going to be positive catalysts, especially for alts, to be honest. Just looking at some of these charts, they look pretty ready. But I am in the camp that this is more than likely the dip that we're seeing today, a dip for buying. But yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin loses this low, sure, you could pull back deeper. I think given the amount of sell pressure that came in at the lows last week, kind of think that should hold, though, all things considered. I will say I like to see the strength that we're seeing today out of Hyperliquid when we talk about market leaders and when, you know, they should kind of be beginning their leg up sooner than the rest of the altcoin market. I'm viewing the Hyperliquid strength today as a positive. So we'll see what we get, though, guys. Like I said, we do have some pretty big news events potentially, you know, playing out throughout the week that are going to move price. But yeah, how are we doing, guys? How was our weekend? What are we seeing in the markets? What do we think about the price action today? I'd love to get y'all's thoughts. And yeah, don't neglect the what you did this weekend question part of that either.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I went to the 3M Open yesterday. It's a golf tournament here in Blaine, Minnesota. That was fun. Got to watch some really good golf. Super fun, man. Got to see a lot of really good golf, really good swings. That's always fun. Working on a new indicator here that you guys are looking at. It's called FOMO bubbles. It's going to drop probably in the next 48 hours. Shows when people are FOMO buying and FOMO selling. Marks it out with these little bubbles here. And yeah, you can see what's happening this morning. We're getting a FOMO bubble this morning. So funny enough, it's actually coming right into support of this little diagonal trend line, and then also our point of control for the entirety of this bullshit range that we're in. So love to see people FOMO selling on a Monday with FOMC coming up middle of the week into support. You absolutely love to see that. I think that once again, sentiment is pretty piss poor, especially on the best coins of this cycle, the ones that are going to rip the hardest. I think that the cabal is really trying their hardest to do a couple things. One, shake you out of your leverage longs before the rip. To convince you that you should be over rotating once again, which, as we've learned month by month, week by week, this entire cycle, if you over rotate, you're going to get carted out. So I think that this is just simply a Monday shakeout before we probably trade higher. I think you kind of need to come to terms with the market being on bullshit, because it is. And the story of the cycle has been, a week or two at most of ripping and then bullshit. So I think that we're probably in the bullshit territory right now, and probably getting ready for higher. But yeah, we are seeing quite a bit of panic selling this morning, right, into an FOMC week, Monday morning. Probably not going to age the best, but to each their own, right? Like, you are free to make those decisions and FOMO sell into our FOMO bubble, into higher time frame support, if you choose to do so, right? That is your right to do that, but you will not catch me doing that. So my weekend was good. Watched some golf, working on this new script, and ready for the second half of this week.
Sounds amazing. My weekend was also full of sports, actually. Been observing my favorite football club win in a new season, which is amazing. And the atmosphere was ecstatic because they were losing through half of the game, and they made it to turn it around at the very late stage. So, and we've been at the stadium with friends, so good times. Helps you to disconnect from the markets and then come back in fresh and ready to cook, which is what we have done so far this morning. And we're gonna continue here on the market check. So let me tell you guys, and in case you haven't noticed, still unbothered, moisturized, flourishing in my online. This drop was well anticipated, but nothing to be afraid of, and nothing to be afraid of. I think Max has the line here pretty spot on too, and we had a clear deviation on Friday to the downside with lots of panic regarding the ancient whale selling. It got textbook bought back up by the end of the day. The range got reclaimed, and I think we do see a run on highs by end of this week. Maybe next one, but generally in the next days.
Yeah, I agree. My wife threw a surprise party for her mom's birthday, so that was nice. So I got to help out with that. And then yesterday, I went out with the boys. Went down to the beach, had a couple beverages. And
Water
Bull
and Gatorade, right?
Yeah, water, Gatorade, and Bull posted on Twitter. So that was fun. Right, but we're back at it for some Monday price action. And again, just sweeping some weekend lows here, right? After a nice weekend move, something we see every week. And every week people decide to panic sell into those lows. So FOMC week, big week. Regardless, I'm still bullish whether they want to cut rates or not. I think they're going to, if they don't cut rates, they're likely going to start hinting at potentially cutting rates. I think either scenario is bullish. And, just FOMC weeks are choppy weeks, right? You know, if you don't want to deal with the chop, come back on Wednesday afternoon, right? But everything looks bullish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we even push back to the upside, even going into the FOMC. So
not only FOMC week, but also BOJ week. Maybe Tommy has some thoughts regarding that.
I don't have any thoughts on the one this week. Obviously, it's something that we kind of continue to track. But USD JPY looks like it's at this point going to continue to rotate up, which is a huge positive for market liquidity at the end of the day. I kind of feel like when we get back towards the range highs on that, it'll be worth paying attention to a bit more meaningfully. But I kind of think everything is going to be, you know, I don't know exactly what they're going to say all week, both the BOJ and during FOMC, but I do think the outcome is ultimately going to resolve bullishly. I don't know if you guys saw, but something that I found really quite shocking. I saw a graphic over the weekend that was talking about hedge fund positioning has not been this short since like the 2022 lows. Even as high up as quickly as we've ripped, short positioning is actually equivalent to the 2022 lows. What do we think about that?
Yeah, it's because so many people are in disbelief, and this cycle is catching everyone off guard. You know, I said this before. Bulls are basically, it's sort of, all right, let me start with the bears, right? Lots of bears are thinking that we hit the top in December 2024. And, you know, speaking of lots of cryptos, or generally that this is just a complacency shoulder, right? What we are experiencing, and that we should have a bear market next, that everything's bullshit, which it is, but we know, we know the nature of the markets. And bulls are also caught off guard in the sense of lots of bulls expected, rightfully so, that everything should just moon in December. And in December, lots of stuff got postponed, and it got postponed, in my opinion, until now. And so everyone is like, how we should be ending the cycle in like few months, but the math doesn't add up, right? So like both bears and bulls are caught on the wrong side, I would say. And the markets in the meantime keep going higher to the top right corner with these semi bears in between. But it's depressing for market participants for how long it is taking, while at the same time, bears are obviously, you know, just that wrong.
big money don't mean smart money.
Indeed.
That's for sure. I just feel like they're always on the wrong side of the trade a lot, right? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Right? Like, how do these people get into business?
Well, it usually goes like this. I'll answer you with logic. Actually, lots of these people, they go to universities. That's where they get connections and high grades. But high grades don't equal intellect lots of the times. And then by these connections, they get into big positions where there is lots of people just bringing in new meat onto the table. You know, lots of people are just calling like people to invest. Then by, you know, understanding, you know, the marketing and stuff like that, they get the meat onto the table. And then lots of these guys from universities who don't actually, you know, didn't go through the hard part, they didn't go through the trenches and so forth, they have access to big liquidity, big money, and so they do what they taught them, but that doesn't equal often doing the right thing. And they, you know, they just as anyone go through emotions. You know, they experience it just as the same, and even more so once they manage others people's money. You know, each of you probably, you know, since all of you are either managing other people's money or have at least like a responsibility to your followers, or you have, you know, people in real life that you gave advice to. All of you guys here know how it feels like feeling that responsibility for just recommending something to someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think this answers the question: how do all these people, get access to that big money? And in my opinion, that's the way mostly. But then they do make the same mistakes as anyone, even more actually, lots of the times, because it's amplified by the magnitude of the size that they work with.
Well, that's why we get impulse candles, isn't it? Because big money is what moves the market, and they are just as reactive as retail, contrary to what they would probably like you to believe.
Yeah. Now, there is like a really, smaller percentage of really smart money and big money too, right? But their counterparty isn't retail, but actually lots of this big money, but not so smart money. It's lots of, it can be lots of pension funds as well to some regard, or hedge funds and so forth,
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, weren't they like record short into the lows of April as well? And then they're going to be record long, probably close to the top. Like, I understand a lot of these big institutions, like, they have to wait for the right environments in order to get like bullish and long exposure. That makes sense. But being net short and adding to shorts as price goes up, like, sometimes I feel as if like they do it on purpose just to generate more liquidity. And like, these hedge funds are just, to us, it's big money, but to them, it's just a sacrifice of capital to make more money somewhere else.
We have to keep in mind, obviously, that big portion of hedge funds will be delta neutral, meaning they are spot long on ETH, staking it, earning that way, and at the same time being short on the futures. But there's it's not going to be all of them. There's going to be lots of them who are just short ETH and long Sol, for example, right? And that pairing is just going down, and they are bleeding heavily. So lots of those will get short squeeze, in my opinion, and that's a future bullish narrative for it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I don't believe all of these shorts on ETH are delta neutral hedge funds.
They are not. Some of them, sure, not all of them. So, and again, lots of them, Tommy, will be what I just said: long Sol, short ETH. That's been the narrative that worked for the past 2 years. But here and forward, it will not work, and they'll bleed money, big money.
Well, I love watching Sol ETH retrace every pump that it puts in.
Yeah.
Nobody loves that more than me.
No, I love it as much, man. It means nature is healing.
Yeah, I don't think Sol ETH is bottom. Shocker, I know. I kind of feel like it's just going to keep ripping down. And I kind of think Bitcoin dominance is also going to keep moving down. I know we're green on the day because we have that altcoin bleed. I'm going to attribute that to the fact that we might be setting some weekly lows on a Monday. This is the 4th week in a row that we've pumped on a weekend and then sold off on Monday. So I do want to point out that tendency. We are conditioning participants to an extent of how to behave, which we know what tends to happen after you kind of get a certain level of conditioning established. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of the perfect week, given there's going to be hedging pressure. There's going to be lots of potential catalysts to move price. I really think we're going to continue moving higher here. And I'm going to start by basing that off of Bitcoin, which I mean, we'll probably slow grind into 130K over the next few weeks. At least that's kind of my expectation. And as a result of that, if I think Bitcoin dominance is moving to 130, or if I think not Bitcoin dominance, God forbid Bitcoin dominance move to like 130K, that would, that's a totally different context. No, but if Bitcoin goes to 130K and Bitcoin dominance is moving down potentially into like 55%, what does that imply for the rest of the altcoin market? It's difficult for me to be bearish when that's kind of my pretext here going into the month of August. So, I felt like I should say that, at least, because I know we get these scary dips on a Monday, and everybody wants to panic or start to over rotate. Why isn't my bag pumping? But I don't, it's almost like this entire market feels like it's got a lid on it, just waiting to explode. And we're seeing more than just ETH start to move. We have to point out the fact that BNB looks as strong as it does. All-time highs. BNB is in price discovery.
Wow.
Do you know what I've noticed, Tommy? It's maybe take it as a little bit of fair criticism, but you often have a wonderful speech, and then you somehow ended up with like such an unfollowable sentence that like it's a good speech, and then you end up with something completely else, and everyone just goes silent instead of like be like yeah or something, right? Where you like discuss the Bitcoin dome, and I really try to like think about it. Why is it that way? And I was like, I really have to follow up what Tom is saying. And so you discussed the Bitcoin dominance, you discussed ETH and so forth, and then you like quickly skipped over to BNB and its all-time highs. So just
we can break down both parts of kind of what I said, right? Like Bitcoin dominance to me does look like it's going to be headed to probably 55% in the month of August. And if I think Bitcoin is going to 130K, how can I be bearish on ETH and altcoins here?
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm viewing it at the moment.
Exactly. No, I think you are viewing the context and the outcome very, very well here. And I think it's going to show in the market. And I think it's in a big confluence with what we just discussed regarding the hedge funds and the largest net short position in history, right? So I think all of that lines up pretty well. I think it lines up with the Sol East chart too. And yeah, generally, and you mentioned BNB too, and I think and we discussed this chart for a long time as well, and I think it shows on the chart just as well. I would even tell you that there's been plenty of people who saw that this would become a large distribution on BNB, and I think CZ is trying to prove them wrong and just make sure that BNB is going to stake just like USDT in a sense, and it's likely going to be again what we discussed at the beginning, higher for longer, with semi pullbacks or semi bear markets, whatever you want to call it, in between, and it's going to keep causing this hard short exposure, because it seems to me everyone just wants to catch this market short, market top distribution. Everyone's so obsessed. And then so they let the shorts build up, and then they squeeze them and then repeat, right? And that's been this whole cycle so far.
BNB looks insane right here. It looks like we're doing some version of like this. I don't think it will be that explosive, but like, I mean, maybe, I don't know, but like it looks like it's just straight ramping right now.
What was like the timing of the last time it pumped, like last cycle? Like when?
It typically goes after ETH.
Let's take it from like
ETH.
I do think that it will be similar in terms of upside this cycle, not same in terms of like the pure speed where it's going to be like a month and then it's over. I once again think that there's going to be a decent pump here, then like a semi bear pullback in between, and then further higher up along the way. Could be wrong on that. In both cases, I do expect these charts to reprice to, well, I would say 4 digits, as we said on BNB, but we are basically nearing that already. So I suppose I'm gonna say like I think 3K on BNB is definitely doable this cycle.
I think so too. I was kind of like torn looking at BNB a few weeks ago, but the breakout speaks for itself, quite frankly. I agree, Jack, because I think it's going to 3K.
And Bears proven wrong once again. A daily reminder, by the way.
BNB going up. I mean, this is something that conceptually we've talked about a lot on this show, but the difference that makes for altcoins can't be understated. Because so many of these assets on Binance spot markets are collateralized by BNB, and even on perps markets. So BNB going higher means there's going to be a lot more money that can be put into altcoins. And I'm going to have to say the word I hate to say, but you should start to see more altcoin breadth coming in. I said it pretty good that time.
He's back. It's been a while since we've heard breadth on the show. He's back.
I think I had to say it on Friday or something like that. I really hate to say that word because it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I feel like we can finally start to see some like dispersion throughout the altcoin market as a result of that.
What do you make of the BNB ETH chart right here?
Can you zoom out a little bit more?
This is the 3-day. This goes back to 2021. So I'm pretty zoomed out.
I don't know what to think about that.
Because we're bullish BNB, but this kind of looks a little heavy to me. So does that mean
it does look a little bit heavy? But you know, if it looks heavy, you know, you have to basically have the assumption that ETH is about to gap through 4K. I'm still uncertain if that's what's going to happen. I do think there's a very real possibility that it does. But yeah, I mean, it's consistently been either we're going to gap through 4K and get a super nasty rinse from like 5K, or you're going to consolidate near 4K for, you know, that's kind of like a pain trade in itself. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think we have the catalysts realistically over the next week or so that's going to provide us with some clarity on that question.
I mean, here's BNB Bitcoin. This should be bottomed, I would think.
That looks pretty clean.
Can you draw a trend line from the top? It looks like it's getting broken as we speak.
That looks like BNB USD back in like 2023.
Why don't you just burgers, man? Why don't you use BNB BTC chart? I will never understand.
You wouldn't get it because we can't use. I didn't even know that was like a set pair because I can't use Binance because I'm feeling protected. So
you never used it, but all of these lines on the chart just magically appears.
You know what? You wouldn't get it. Okay, you wouldn't get it.
It's okay. I will teach you guys one day. I know it. I'm sure we will strike a perfect balance. You guys teach me, and I teach you, and then we both get it.
And then we win.
I mean, that looks ready, guys. I don't know when I drew this, but that looks ready. Ready. Let me flip it. Oof.
Yeah, similar like what Tommy was saying, like I would have to think that BNB going up should create some sort of wealth effect for the altcoin market. There's only positives that can come from BNB going up. And honestly, I didn't even realize it had such a strong week, 2 weeks until you mentioned it. So yeah, I think that's always a good sign. Another healthy sign and another box to check off that's indicating that we are heading into, you know, the altcoin stage of the cycle. So just another point for bulls here on altcoins.
So FOMC is on Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They probably just dink us around until then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing. Listen, the FOMC week, Monday till Wednesday, is bullshit.
Yeah. Usually is. I always say I hate FOMC weeks until Wednesday night, and then it's okay again because it's a lot of lot of noisy chop price action. Like Tommy said, you get people hedging into it. Not much, not much signal. But we'll see, right? We'll see. I mean, I think after the weekend move we saw to Bitcoin and ETH and altcoins, like I would say that's, we look good for a continuation move higher. But we'll see. Maybe we just have to wait until Wednesday. Maybe we pump into the FOMC, and kind of similar what Tommy was saying, where like people get conditioned to expect a certain scenario to play out because it's played out so often. So if crypto does decide to move higher and pump into the FOMC, there's going to be a lot of people looking to fade it, right? And that could be a trap, right? That could be a trap where we pump into FOMC. Obviously, we get some volatility the day of, and just continue to pump, after, right? So I wouldn't be surprised at that scenario, but expecting more of the same, which is FOMC weeks, Monday, Tuesday price action is just god awful, and you kind of just got to get through it and wait till Wednesday afternoon to get some signal.
What do you guys think about rate cuts this week?
Doesn't matter.
I don't think they're happening. No, I don't think they're happening.
I don't think Trump's getting what he wants.
I don't really have a strong opinion, but
if it
shock me looking back, if their conversation last week, there was like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
True. I would love it if some reporter asked Powell about the conversation, and he responds somehow like decently, but I don't think that's the case either. He's just going to be like, we're data dependent, and it doesn't really bother me what Trump says. We are here to do our job, and I'll do it as long as I'm in the mandate, blah blah blah. So
yeah,
something like that. But no,
I don't know if it really matters if they're going to cut rates. Like long end yields are probably going higher.
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, I think that Trump has mainly, I don't even think he wanted Powell to cut the rates, or maybe like he has, but didn't really expect him to do so. But he just wanted to have like an scapegoat in case things would go the wrong way. And he would be like, oh yeah, you know what? The economy is in a bad shape because too late Jerome Powell simply didn't cut. It's not my fault, it's his fault. And so this way he's like, yeah, you know what? It's not on me, it's on him. So
I also think to some extent it's performative, right? Like you said, Jackus, it's very convenient for Trump to have somebody that he can blame any economic downturn on, while at the same time, Powell doesn't actually do anything. You can kind of just keep using that narrative.
yeah.
And it doesn't seem to bother the market.
Market is fine, and market now understands that Trump is simply trying to get a better deal for the US, and that inherently is better for US economy. And this is why the stock prices are reflecting as much. They understand that he isn't going to do something as stupid as the market deemed in March and April, and that US is likely to come off better than they have before, which is much, much bullish for the stock prices, let alone the fact that DXY went down, which raises the earnings for the mentioned companies. So, yeah.
Well, it's pretty wild watching the VIX just continue to capitulate every single day. And eventually, we'll get some sort of snapback. I don't think it will be trend breaking, but yeah, I think the way they handled headlines in the VIX was kind of genius in a sense. Like, you have everything happen all at once, and then nothing actually happens. So then the market then you want to talk about market conditioning. The market then suddenly realizes, okay, well, maybe nothing ever happens. There's no reason to be long volatility. And I mean, eventually it's going to blow up in their face because everything is going to kind of happen all at once, and everybody is going to be fading. It's like a massive big spike, I'm sure, at some point. But yeah, at least in the near term, basically they got everybody to get super hedged and super bearish, and then they ran it all the way back to the highs, and that positioning is still there because of that uncertainty that they created.
Yeah, that's true. There is lots of positioning still to the downside, or at least not for the upside, right? Lots of money still parked at the money market funds, and that is still a future bullish case, in my opinion. I obviously know at some point in the future there is going to be future problems based on some stuff that has happened now. It's always like that. But as of now, lots of people and lots of, especially the big recession perma bear guys, still not factoring in is the huge effectivity growth that I've been banging the drum on for a while, which is regarding AI and now, crypto through stablecoins and DeFi lending and stuff like that. That's going to get embodied into the TradFi world. So all of that is going to be huge effectivity growth, and that will justify the valuations that we shall get alongside the obviously new deficit spending and obviously the policies that come along with it all. So yeah.
Did you see the soft data that we had last week? I mean, it's not really like me to talk about soft data, but the people who the people who I speak with were like, yeah, the economic data that we got last week was crazy bullish, like very positive. So the economy's actually growing. I think everybody has been treating equities specifically like a market that has an inevitable deflationary period coming, whether that's because the economy is eventually going to weaken or we're going to see risk asset prices wobble. And so a question I posed on X over the weekend was, okay, how about a scenario where everybody was for the last 2 or 3 years expecting some level of austerity to be exercised by either the admin, the Fed, someone, and now slowly but surely, I think they're going to start to realize, how do we price in a market that doesn't plan on practicing any austerity at all? Yeah, I think people are honestly, I think people are asleep at the wheel at the implications of what that kind of means for risk assets.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Caesar, for the super chat. Here's kind of how I view Bonk quickly. Generally, it's just in a giant high time frame range. I mean, it's just pretty obvious, right? Just a giant range. You're pushing up against a really important level, arguably the most important level on the chart. This is your kind of all-time high supply right here. Obviously, it's very correlated to what Solana is doing also. So I put Sol down here. I think the big key here is going to be, does Sol, kind of flip this, 210 region? Because this Trump, this is a big region here, right? I mean, it kind of even goes down to like right here, because all this was when the Trump token got launched. So this is kind of like all the panic buying that came in when Trump launched his token. So I think your big question for Bonk here is going to be, does Sol, venture up here no problem, or does Sol continue to just kind of lose steam as it approaches this level? I think if you can get Sol kind of generally above this region, like let's just draw it like right here. I'll make it thicker. I think if you can get Sol above this level, like 212, 215, then you probably see Bonk start ripping from here. But I think this move was great, but you are at probably the biggest resistance on the chart. I mean, not probably, you are at the biggest resistance on the chart. So I really think that you're going to need to see Sol flip this region right here. We could maybe extend it a little bit to like right here also, like this spot for Sol. If Sol flips this level, Bonk should keep going up. If Sol does not flip this level, which is, I'll draw it as a box. Let's just say 210 to 225. If you don't flip that level, then Bonk will probably end up pulling back to this region. That's kind of how I view it. Pretty big level here. I mean, it goes all the way back into here too. So, yeah, I mean, Bonk looks good. It's just, you know, I think without Sol as a tailwind, it's only going to do so much. But if Sol can move up here, then Bonk should continue to do well. And we can look at the Bonk Sol pair. Let's see how that looks.
Yeah, I think the biggest hindrance for Bonk right now is that it's Sol beta.
Yeah, I would agree. I would view this more or less as a range for Bonk Sol. So again, just playing it like a range. You're at your mid range. Honestly, if Sol's not going to start ripping immediately, then you probably get a little pullback. So we'll see what that looks like, right? It's just that every time that Bonk Sol kind of spikes up like this, look at what happens. So every time that Bonk Sol up top, you know, puts in a big spike, it's usually some sort of top on Sol USD. Now, something to consider is that if we are going to get alt season, you know, you could be good. But when you have your beta blow off and it's not followed by alpha strength, it's usually not super good. So, yeah, I would just watch Sol, honestly. I would maybe be a little cautious here. But I think if Sol can flip, let's just say like 220, you should be probably good for upside. But you need your you can't just have your beta ripping without the alpha. Like ideally your alpha would rip first and then beta, but in this instance, beta ripped, alpha hasn't followed yet. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on what Sol does here. Very, very close watch. It looks fine though. Like you're breaking out of this range, or you're trying to. Here's your Sol range. You are above the range, but if you dip back down and you're back in the range, you know, you don't want to see Sol back down below 180, 170. That could be a little questionable. So thanks. One more ENA. All right, we could check out ENA. Yeah, I mean, I'd view this like your range right here. I think it looks pretty good. Let's pull up ETH. It just moves with ETH, right? So whenever ETH moves up, typically does well. When ETH moves down, it's just ETH beta, more or less, at its core. So if you think that ETH is going to smash this 4K level, then ENA probably goes to range high and then some. But it's the same concept as before, where we're talking about like beta and alpha, where your beta, in this instance, ENA, is not going to continue ripping if ETH gets stuffed here at 4K. If ETH slices through 4K like a hot knife through butter, then ENA is probably going to all-time highs. It's really quite simple. And I could show you 100 other charts that have the same relationship, some beta leading, some lagging, where the beta that has been leading so far needs the alpha to catch up to continue showing strength. And the beta that's been lagging is basically waiting for that confirmation from ETH to break 4K to catch a huge bid. So we're kind of at an awkward spot. Like I wouldn't expect anything to happen really until ETH gets above 4K. It's very, very simple. And the same goes for Pepe here. Like, why is Pepe not pumping yet? It's super, super simple. Pepe is not going to pump until ETH gets above this horrific level. Just a horrific level, right? As soon as ETH flips this level, then Pepe has the all clear. It's quite simple. But, you know, I've also seen people dogging on Pepe because it hasn't moved yet. And they're like, last time ETH was at 4K, Pepe was higher. Well, not every time, right? When ETH was at 4K over here in March, you know, Pepe was lower. Pepe was right here, right? So from the first time ETH was at 4K, Pepe is above it. From the second time, it's below it. From the third time, it's below it. So it's a very fickle relationship. But if you study it closely and you understand what's actually driving the big rotations into beta, not the little ones, it's this level. You're not going to get your big rotations until we conquer this level for anything. But if ETH can meet stick through 4K, you are going to make a lot of money in ETH beta. A lot of money in ETH beta. So it doesn't really matter what you buy. It could be ENA, could be Pepe, could be Andy, should be Andy. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Could be Kibshi, Tommy, you know. That's the level, right?
I mean, I'll be honest, ETH beta's pretty much come back into the levels that I thought they would before they were going to catch a bid. To me, the fact that ETH beta has not run yet, as well as, you know, things like Bitcoin dominance and Sol ETH are communicating that breaking 4K is not necessarily a pipe dream. I know I say this all the time. It's easy to say that you're going to go higher when price is going up. I think there's a real case to be made that we do break 4K on this go, and I'm just basing that on the pair relationships between ETH with Bitcoin and Sol. But yeah, I'm not scared of this Bitcoin dip on a lower time frame. We're going higher.
Yep.
Can end the show right there.
See you guys.
And
You
I
should
think
totally
those that
be beta here.
Yeah, I think those that are selling stuff like Pepe to chase the stuff that's moving, that's been pumping for the last week or so, are gonna regret that for sure.
The Bird Trape King might have a point here.
Yeah, what are the likes?
That is true. I mean, you guys have really ignored the like button almost entirely for like 6 months at this point. We've let it slack. But if the market, I mean, if we're breaking 4K and you guys aren't hitting the like button, man, we might just have to stop doing market check.
Well, we're barely above 100 likes and we have 300 people watching. That's sad.
That's a problem. They're enjoying this free, big, juicy alpha, but they don't want to pay the piper.
Straight to soybean.
I agree. Max, I think it's time to go straight to soybeans.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it that bad?
It's worse.
It's worse? No, bro. Oh, what is this? Old drawings on soybeans?
It's too entertaining. Go on 1 minute.
Can I go lower?
All those time frames.
Can I go lower? Trading view's frozen. There we go. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
I can't even see the candles. It's so low. I've never seen a chart that looks like this. Maybe there's alpha in this.
Can you do ETH 1 second after we are done with soybeans?
Yeah, I'll have if that's a chart request from you, Jackus, I'd be happy to oblige. This is ETH on the 1 second chart.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Whoa.
We're pumping and we're dumping.
Can we go on the 1 millisecond chart? Oh.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I only have second. I don't know if we're pumping.
Where's Tucker?
The gambling addiction just 10x.
It's a pump and dump.
And no.
High or low?
I want to know what you guys think about this take
Oh,
to put out.
That is so exciting.
Dude, imagine if like the actual chart was this fun, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have made it this far.
Can I? All right, yeah. I just I wanted to put out a take about sector performance. I wanted to get y'all's opinion on it because I look at these charts. I kind of feel like meme coins are going to dominate the next few weeks as far as altcoin price action goes, and that we see that fundamental rotation more so in Q4. And I think the charts are not just communicating that, but also, I mean, just in general, VCs are going to typically rebalance more into VC alts and fundamentally driven coins in Q4, Q1. What do you guys think about the take that it's probably time for meme coin performance here in the near term and fundamental performance after? Because usually we kind of see the opposite, where fundamentals move and then memes pump and kind of end the whatever bull cycle that you're in. I kind of feel like it's going to be the opposite this time, where meme coins pump, get everybody to believe that there is good tech going on, and then, you know, we'll rotate into more fundamentals after memes pump. What do you think about that?
Wasn't it like this until now? Like, I feel like that the Sol rally in 2000, up to 2024 was exactly that. And it feels now is the shift.
I'm talking not like 6 to 12 month shift here. I think memes are going to pump in the next few weeks. And then Q4 is going to be more fundamentally driven, more DeFi.
I suppose I'm getting a bit lost in the time frames because it seems to me like lots of memes actually pumped already. Like if I look at stuff like, you charted Bonk that has gone up in, like 250% since June. So in a single month. So
Not every meme. Just
not
my
every,
meme. Just my
but
memes.
lots of them, yeah.
I like ETH memes more than Sol memes. For example, like I think Bonk will probably just vertically accumulate from here, whereas I think something like Pepe can have much more explosive upside. I think Doge could be moving here in the next few weeks as well, and that's also a pretty big part of this potential thesis. Is if Doge gives you a big high time frame leg up, you should start to see I think some broader repricings on these large cap meme coins, not Sol memes, because I don't think they have the alpha hasn't really performed in a way that the wealth effect should translate over to their memes yet. But ETH stuff specifically, I think is in a position where it can really perform. I don't know what you think about that though. It is kind of based on Doge and ETH as well, continuing their performance.
I do not know what I think about that. I have no thoughts.
Felt like I'd pose the possibility. I'm bulled up on ETH meme coins here. I think they're getting ready to run.
I hope so. I think they have been ready for so long, so I agree.
So Tom, you have a theory about memes outperforming maybe for the next 3-4 weeks, and then fundamental rotation. I feel like the pair we should be watching then is going to be Pepe Ave. Is that fair?
Is that what you got pulled up?
Yes.
Okay.
So if this chart goes down, that means Ave's a better hold than Pepe. If it goes up, Pepe's a better hold than Ave. Did I say that wrong the first time? If it goes down, Ave is a better hold than Pepe. If it goes up, Pepe is a better hold than Ave. If you are correct in your thesis, then what we should expect to see, and actually let me make one minor adjustment here to the y-axis just so that we can see, everything here. If you are correct, Tommy, then in theory, we should probably see this trend line breakout right here. Something like this, right?
Yes.
And that would mean that we're maybe doing something like this, if Tommy's correct. And then you jeet your Pepe into Ave up there.
That's kind of my plan, to be honest. It's never going to work out as cleanly as you plan, obviously, but I mean, really, VC memes are going to require more liquidity to run than meme coins will. I think they're more of a Q4 thing, maybe even Q1 of 2026. And I'm looking at basically, some of these dead coins too, and AVAX and Atom. I think they're going to give a bulk of their outperformance more so in a few months. But meme coins, theoretically, look very similar to at least like the good ones that haven't pumped yet. To me, they look a lot like meme coin structures in February and March of 2024, where they gave you these head fake. And I've said this on so many shows recently, but like they give you these head fakes at resistance. They wipe out the passive longs, and then when ETH and Bitcoin kind of gave that next high time frame leg in 2024, then you started to see memes really outperform. And I think that's going to probably be more specific to not just like every meme coin pumping in the same way that we had in 2024, but ETH stuff, hyperliquid stuff. I think that's going to perform. I really do. And then I think, hoping rather, you're going to have the opportunity to rotate some of that capital into more fundamentally driven things, more DeFi, more AI related coins. That's kind of what I see from like an order of operations standpoint. But again, it always it always works out better in your head than in reality.
Yeah. I do like this thesis though, Tommy. I do. I don't know where it would put Ave though beforehand, but this chart does look coiled. It does. And if we look at like, let's look at Pepe down below. And then let's look at Ave. I'll just make it green real quick. And then look at Ave. Let's make it blue. So it's like looking at this right here. Let's see. I guess this would maybe be what we're looking for. Is like when you get the top in Pepe, then you get, the fundamental rotation, and Pepe just kind of ranges, right? Or doesn't make a new high, maybe.
There is a chance, like in this scenario, where meme coins give you the bulk of their cyclical outperformance in the near term, and then after that, every pump on meme coins is just like you should be selling into, because it will be kind of like that signal of doom that it has been traditionally, where eventually they're going to start pumping and everybody's going to rotate into them as if they're going to do the same thing. And I kind of think you should be selling into those rallies, but that's down the line. I think we need to see the rally actually occur before that happens. Oh man, all by myself. Can we get some W's in the chat?
Sorry, my wife called me. I told her to text me.
Good.
I'm on YouTube and everybody left Tommy hanging. I need you to just text me. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, sorry. Forgot you're on YouTube.
I just wanted to make the joke.
Louis, do you have any charts for us, brother? I'd love to see some Louis meat sticks today.
Sure.
Sure.
What do we want to look at?
Oh yeah, we got some W's in the chat. I feel like we should. I mean, did we look at Hyperliquid yet?
No, let's do it. Yeah, I think we talked about this on stream last week. About this rising channel on Hyperliquid. Maybe it was a Discord call. I don't remember. I definitely touched on it though at some point. But yeah, I agree with Tommy. Loving the action at a hype here. Bounced where it needed to, right? Just been ping ponging in this rising accumulation channel here for the last month or so, as it's kind of churning, just bullishly accumulating in price discovery. A lot of people look at this chart without context, thinking it's bearish, with not understanding where we are in the market cycle, where altcoins are likely headed over the next couple
sorry
months.
to cut you off real quick, Louis, but once that Head and Shoulders got invalidated, no, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, we heard a lot about this, right? That got wrecked, right? So no Head and Shoulders top. Now we have the 3 drive boys coming out, right? Distribution or some sort. And if we were in a different phase of the market cycle, I would agree, right? Boom, 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 slightly higher high after higher high. Could be some sort of distribution. But with context of where I think we're at in the altcoin market and like the Bitcoin and crypto cycles here, this to me likely rising accumulation into a big breakout to the upside. And now we're flipping this high into support here, right? Flipping the high into support, respecting the channel. I think this is getting ready to just start really going here. So hype is strong. And if anyone knows or has been following hype over the last couple months, they would know that hype was a leader off the lows of the market, right? So, April, March time, Hyperliquid's pretty much been leading the market higher. So if Hyperliquid's continuing to grind higher, I think that's a great sign for the altcoin market as a whole, right? So still very bullish hype. I think as long as you're above here, right, or even this high, right, we can maybe get one G here, one sweep. But as of right now, looking like it wants to hold, I think this is going to break higher, right? And we see these patterns, these rising accumulation or these bull chop channels here, whatever you want to call it, in bullish conditions, they break to the upside. They do. So I think hype's going to continue to head higher, and if anything, is gearing up for a big move, right? So that's a great sign, right? That's a great sign. And with that, that brings me to Purr, right? That brings me to Purr, another one a lot of people have been frustrated with over the last month or so, which I understand. But this is one that hasn't made new lows on the chart, since like 2 weeks ago, right? Where a lot of altcoins for the last week or so have been bleeding, right? Giving back some gains, bleeding lower. Meanwhile, especially the last week, hype has not made new lows, holding major support, curling up, looking like it wants to reclaim this trend line that goes all the way back to April, and literally is a move away from starting to hit these targets, in my opinion. So hype strong, ipso facto, Purr likely going to be strong again after kind of chopping people up for the last couple months here. A lot of people chase this move, these pumps, and they've been capitulating and getting chopped up for the last couple months, likely right before Purr is ready to go. And I was talking about this to the Discord, where I think Purr is going to end up being a great example of why you do not sell a token or a crypto that you own that's not moving to chase stuff that already is moving. Because if you probably were selling Purr in here over the last week or so, thinking it's coming lower to chase something that's already doing this, you likely sold this at the low to buy something at the high. That token has now been pulling back over the last week or so. So now you're underwater here, while Purr has been slowly curling up and hasn't made new lows. And that's the, the textbook way to chop yourself up and not make money in a bull market, right? So hype looks great. Purr being one of the leading meme coins on Hyperliquid has me super bullish on Purr, right? So bullish, right? Bullish. You get above this trend line here that goes all the way back a couple months ago. Very likely you start to press this clear horizontal resistance that's been capping price for the last month and a half. You start breaking this level. This is a beautiful setup for a springboard, right? And then if you do get this move, you're likely coming higher than here, right? You're likely coming higher than these highs we made back in May, likely going to start coming into these levels and likely all-time highs, right? So extremely bullish on Purr.
Purr chart looks insane, man.
Yeah. Purr is the last ticker that I'm worried about, honestly. Yeah. And it's just been lulling everybody to sleep. And that's going to end pretty soon. But I've seen people just like, they've been really dealing with the time-based capitulation of Purr here.
Yes.
It's going to punish them, bro. It's going to absolutely punish them.
Yeah. Tale as old as time. Right? I feel a lot of altcoins look the worst before they look the best. It's just how the market is, right? And people fall for it over and over again. So I guarantee you there was tons of people selling Purr over the last couple of weeks, getting frustrated with it, or trading on leverage and liquidating themselves before the real move happens, right? And that's a shame. It really is. But Hyperliquid is kind of leading the way here and telling the story, what's likely going to happen for Purr.
Yeah. No, it's that time-based capitulation is so real. How to shake out dopamine-starved, lower time frame addicts is range of meme coin for 2 months.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that was one thing I noticed last week was that as altcoins were giving back some, right, some gains and bleeding and making, local lows, I noticed and I let the Discord know that, hey, I know a lot of you are frustrated, but guess what? Purr has not made a new low the entire week last week, right? So that's your first sign that this is likely done chopping around or at least bleeding at a minimum. Not making a new low in an environment where most, if not all coins are pulling back. That tells me once the market swings back the other way, this is going to be a leader again and probably pull a move similar to this, right? So it is what it is. Crypto is not for the faint of heart. And if you've been trying to trade this in and out, getting in every time it goes up and selling when it goes down, you're chopping yourself to bits. And I've been watching people do that for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah. Yes, sir. Something that's still really strong is TRX too. They're making some waves here. Justin Sun.
He's going to space, isn't he, Louis?
My goat.
Justin Sun is going to space.
Wow.
I saw a headline.
He's going to the moon. So maybe TRX is going to follow.
To the moon, but he's going to space.
So TRX is going to follow him, I think.
My goat.
It's just extremely strong, right? Extremely strong chart. This is one that I've been talking about since April, right? And sure, right, not going to outperform a lot of stuff, but it is one that's been slowly just churning higher, right? Pretty much since April. A lot of altcoins have gone up since April, but a lot of them have done this, right? Pumped, came back, bled. Maybe they're starting just now to break out, while TRX has just been slow grinding higher in a nice, beautiful uptrend on the daily time frame since that time, since the market's bottomed. Probably a lot to do with the fact that this, the number one place for US, USDT for Tether, right? A lot of Asia action in this chart, and the chart's telling you, right, that it's being used for whatever reason, and it's super strong. And you're really starting to see that this trend off the lows is starting to get steeper, right? It's starting to get steeper and looks very, very close to finally entering that parabolic push, right? You get a nice slow grind. The trend starting to get steeper. Pullbacks are getting shallower, quicker. Eventually, you really start to push into that parabolic leg of the move. Whereas where you're at on the chart, there's nothing but air up here, right? As I have written here, nothing there, right? You have like 2 daily candles in this area of the chart. Once you start pushing 33, 34 cents and get above this level, we kind of rejected here at it, flip this level into support. Now we're starting to climb again. Once you clear this level, there's nothing here other than a super inefficient 2 days worth of price action. And price is likely going to move quick in this area. So just another beautiful chart that is very, very overlooked and slept on, in my opinion. And I think it's getting close to putting in that last bit of meat stick to the upside. Whether we clear this, whether we just backfill this move from back in December, I don't know. But I will be TPing. I've been running leverage longs. I ran one set of leverage longs from here up on this move, re-entered on this drop. And this is one I've just been letting run in the background. And we'll be looking to TP up in these levels and then maybe leave a moon back if it does make fresh highs. But one of the only Dino tokens, quote unquote, that is above its all-time high from last cycle. And that should tell you something, right? That should tell you something, that's strength. Now BNB is joining it in that club, XRP flirting with it, right? So it's one, yeah, you're not going to get that 100x out of, but it is something that, sometimes you got to buy the strong charts, right? This chart has been up and to the right. So sometimes you just got to buy strength.
And I know with the stablecoin narrative really heating up, I believe there's like, I don't know the number of it, the quantity, but TRX is big with stablecoins. I know that. So yeah, I'm sure it would be
it's basically just correlated to USDT growth.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. The chart is that's what the chart's telling you, that it's being heavily adopted and used for the largest stable coin in the market, which is Tether, right? So strong chart. You guys want to look at Andy? It's been a while since
Don't tempt me with a good time, Louis.
Yeah. This is what I think we're doing, guys. This is what I think we're doing. Coming beautifully off range lows here. We had a nice, again, going back to what I was saying about TRX, a lot of altcoins went up from April and have since kind of pulled back and gave some of that back, but are now starting to push back. This looks like range low accumulation, right? But before acceleration higher, right? So you're sitting at range lows, you're coming off nicely off that range low. Beautiful stuff. This is a 2-day chart, right? So you're riding, your 2-day trend, you're above your 2-day trend here, your 2-day RSI, pushing to overbought levels, right? Price is likely going to follow, right? Price is likely going to continue to follow. And this is a level to watch, right? This is a serious resistance above us. Obviously capped us here off this initial move. We came back, we tested it again. If we can hold rising trend, continue to press up into this resistance, it's going to give way, and you're going to start to see a big move back to the upside and likely range highs, right? Likely range highs, very similar to ETH. The only difference between this chart and the ETH chart is that ETH very much so deviated its range lows, got back inside, and then you saw the move, right? ETH is up here. So you have ETH sitting up here at its multi-year range, while you have Andy sitting here. That's a layup.
But Louis, doesn't that mean that Andy's dead and is going to zero? I'm confused.
Yeah, the normie mind would think that. But they're not looking for opportunity. They're just looking to be pessimistic in a bullish market environment because they've been conditioned to. That's what I would say. So this looks extremely bullish, right? So, even if you get this pullback, this is a shove, right? This is a shove. One last pullback, boom, start pressing overhead resistance. And then you're pretty much your mid-range of this year-long range is your last major bit of supply that you got to get through before heading back to range highs. And just so you guys are aware, right, this looks like, these were nice moves, right? These were big moves from range lows to range highs. If we come back for a third time, it's likely going to be the breakout attempt, right? And looking back, if and when that happens, which I think there's a great chance it does, this is going to be like a small blip on the chart, right? This is going to be like you have to go back and zoom in. And all this was just a multi-year accumulation of an ETH beta asset, right? So you get Andy getting back to range highs. Maybe you see some resistance. That'd be normal, right? But once you break this range high, this is the move that everyone's looking for, right? And looking back, this was just a multi-year basing accumulation before the real altcoin bull run, right? That's how I see it. That's how I see ETH. So I have no reason not to look at Andy the same way. And this will be like in hindsight when they're up here and Andy's up here and you have people on like thousands of normies onboarding themselves into crypto looking to invest, will be starting to buy up here, looking back at this chart and being like, man, if I only was paying attention to crypto back here in July and June of 2025, I would have been able to buy down here. Whoever was watching Andy and had the ability and the know-how to buy down here, they were lucky, right? They were lucky. I wish I could, guys. Now I wish I could buy down here. Now I got to chase and buy up here near the top, right? So that's kind of how I look at this, right? That's kind of how I look at this. So just massive, what looks like massive range, right? Which it is, right? Because this is all the price action we have. But I've been in crypto long enough to know that there were several charts that looked like this 2019, 2020, that had these big ranges that looked like, couldn't go higher than these highs, right? There's no way. And then boom, that, this was your accumulation range, and the real fun didn't happen until we're heading into price discovery and breaking these ranges. And that's how I'm looking at a lot of these cryptos right now. Like we're in the last stages of accumulation before an extremely bullish altcoin market.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Louis.
Thanks.
I think you can kind of see like a version of this. You can't really see it in the meme market cap chart anymore because they deleted the history for some reason. But you look at total DeFi, I think basically shows you where memes are headed next. You had like the two massive tops on a higher time frame, reaccumulation, and then when you start to curl back up, you get the real bull run and the real markup for some of these assets.
Yeah.
But if you have anything, do you have anything else that you want to cook for us, Louis? Otherwise, I think it's a decent spot.
I think we'll end there. I think that was a good spot to end. I think I send my message well there. Hopefully they got it.
I love it. I thought we had a good show today. If you guys would be so kind to hit the like button. I know we bullied you a little bit with soybeans today, but we are always very appreciative, not just of you guys hitting the like button, of course, but also that you tune in. A lot of you tune in every single day. So we definitely don't take that support for granted. We're going to continue to cook like this on Market Check for you all throughout the rest of the week, which if you are new, Market Check goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Typical start time around 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, sorry, my cat's clawing up my chair. Can't have that happen. That threw me off a little bit. But yeah, you can catch Market Check at that time. Also, make sure to tune in for our brand new show, Ape Time, on Thursday. With the same time starting as Market Check, we'll have our full cast and crew back this week. So we're very much looking forward to that as well. But also make sure, lastly, to tune in for Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi. He has absolutely crushed these markets recently. So tune into his spaces in the afternoon. It's a great way to finish off your day, and stay following and subscribe to both Wabi as well as Because Bitcoin on X, so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course also when we go live. Yeah, pretty much this. Butter's in the house. He always has to make himself known on some of these streams, I swear. But yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed the show. That concludes everything that we had for you today. I'm gonna play a quick ad for the BB terminal while you file out. But of course, you know, as we are heading into a market where, in my opinion, we're likely to see memes heat back up, we're likely to see on-chain heat back up. It's the perfect time for you guys to be looking for an edge in those markets. And we have the tooling that can assist you with that, right? The BB terminal. We just launched our brand new DGen page. It looks amazing. It runs amazing. And it is objectively much better than Deck Screener. So check it out. The product speaks for itself, honestly. And I know that you're going to love it. I've already, you know, been building my watch list out on the DGen page, and for me, it's replaced Deck Screener. So I think it'll only be a matter of time for you guys as well. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in. That's it from us. We'll see you again on Wednesday, unless you're a subscriber, in which case we'll see you in the Discord call later this afternoon. But thanks again, as always, guys. And of course, stay safe.
Tired of outdated trading tools, confused charts, dozens of tabs, endless stress? You're not alone. Introducing BB Terminal, your all-in-one command center for crypto trading. Track your portfolio, monitor the markets, stay ahead, all in one place. From chaos to clarity, from struggle to success. BB Terminal.